Hey, how's it going, everybody? Bert Bryan here, and it's time to catch a buzz. So before I get started today, I just want to say there's going to be a little bit of a change to these Catchin' a Buzz videos. Now, I'm still going to be talking about beer, and I'm going to be showing you what the beer looks like and what I think of it. But I don't really claim to be a big beer reviewer. I mean, basically, I try 6 to 18 different beers a week on average because I really like craft beers. I like trying new things. So this is just my way of sharing another one of my hobbies, another one of the things that I'm passionate about with all of you guys. And, you know, maybe you'll find some beers that you might really enjoy through ones that I like or ones that I don't like. So basically what I'm going to be doing with all of these videos from here forward is we're going to spend a little time talking about the beer that I'm looking at for the day. We're going to try it, pour it, see what it looks like, smell. But then I'm going to go into a part where I basically will be answering a question from one of you guys or a topic that somebody gives me. I'll be talking about it for a short period, and then when I'm done saying that, I'll have a question for you guys because I want to interact more with everybody watching my videos. So at the end there'll be some sort of question that I'm going to ask all of you guys, and hopefully you'll leave me some feedback down below, please. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Today we are looking at the 6th glass. It's a quadruple ale from Boulevard Brewing Company out of Kansas City, Missouri, and this is their Smokestack series. This beer's got a 10.5% alcohol per volume, so it definitely packs quite a punch. Here on the back it says, "Do you know what dwells in a glass?" asks Ole in Hans Christian Andersen's The Watchman of the Tower. Better known for stories such as The Little Mermaid, Andersen wrote this short cautionary tale for a somewhat older audience. Our quadruple ale, also meant for the mature connoisseur, is a deep and mysterious libation, dark auburn and full-bodied, its sweetness deceptive. As Ole describes the glasses in turn, their contents become more ominous until in the 6th glass. So very, very cool. Again, if you want to read more about that, you can go and check out their website, which I'll have a link down in the description. It's going to be smokestack.boulevard.com. Now, I have had lots of beers from this company. I absolutely love the Boulevard Brewing Company. I think all the beers I've had from them are amazing. I think the only ones I've had are out of the Smokestack series, and they're phenomenal. And I've had this one before, but I wanted to share with you guys my thoughts on it. And I found one of the really cool 25-ounce bottles with the cork tops. So we're going to go ahead and pop this bad boy open. See if I can do this without putting out an eye. Oh. Bam. See the smoke just rolling out of the top. Alright. Let's go ahead and get our glass here. Now, one thing that I have learned about glasses, and I was honestly someone who did this for a long time. I used to put all my glasses in the freezer to get them nice and chilled before I'd pour a drink. And, you know, I recently learned that a lot of craft beer snobs or connoisseurs or beer geeks, however, whatever you want to say, they tend to frown on that practice. And when I understand the reasons behind that and why, as someone who cooks or who cooked for a living for a very long time, I can understand the reasoning behind that. And your fridge and freezers, I mean, you put baking soda in there to try to absorb the aromas and the smells that are in fridges and freezers after being used for so long. So when you're taking this glass that's covered in water and sticking it in there, you know, the water is absorbing in the smells that are in there and the flavors that are sitting and lurking in there, and it's locking into the ice. And so when you pour yourself a glass, you're honestly, you know, could be throwing off the taste of your beer and making it have some horrible taste that it's picking up in the freezer. So what they always recommend is just to have a clean, dry glass, one that's free of any detergents or perfumes, dyes, anything like that. You want it to just be, you know, a clean, dry glass. So having said that, let's go ahead and take a look. Oh yeah, this is a very heady beer, so I'm going to pour cautiously. But boy, it does have that beautiful, very dark body. And yeah, definitely a very heady beer. Ideally, I would like something that, you know, 1 to 2 fingers, but boy, it sure has a lot of carbonation action going in there. This is a really beautiful beer. Again, you've got about 3 fingers of head on it. got such a great smell. Again, this is a very dark, again, complex flavored beer. The aroma that comes through is a very dark, strong, hoppy kind of smell. Oh man, let's go ahead and taste this thing. Very good. Again, this has a 10.5%. Flavor is so nice. It is a complex flavor. It's got this sweetness to it. It's got, boy, it's not at all a perfumey beer, and that's a lot of complaint I have when you start getting into high alcohol beers. You're starting to get closer to the wines and starting to liquor, so you know, it just has this really strong alcohol, perfumey, like bitter kind of metallic taste that I'm really not a big fan of when you start getting into those higher beers. This beer is just absolutely delicious. Again, those, what do they say about this? It is full-bodied and the sweetness is deceptive. Again, most definitely right on the money with their description. This is such a good beer. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about this one. I love it. It's 10.5%. I'm somebody who generally likes a lot of IPAs, and I do like a lot of dark ales and whatnot. Generally not a big fan of red ales, Scottish ales, things like that, but this is definitely delicious. Again, everything I've had from Boulevard Brewing Company has been really good. You guys should definitely go and check them out. Alright, so now it's time for the question/topic segment of the video, where I take either one question or one topic that one of you guys who watches my videos has submitted, and will answer it or talk about it. So today's question actually comes from Captain Acron27 on YouTube, and he said, what's the best practical joke you've ever played on another back of the house member? Now that one's really tough. I mean, honestly, we did do a lot of pranks on each other in the back of the house, but there is somewhat of a kind of a bond. You don't go to a certain level with a lot of the back of the house people, because you're going to be stuck with those guys, and odds are they can really screw you over just as bad as you might get them. So a lot of our funnier pranks to me kind of fell on the front of the house staff, but I mean, there were all the typical things we used to do to each other. Like, one of my favorites was we used to have pure cap drops, and it was one of the things we used to heat up. We would take, I think it was Frank Red Hot, or one of those, and we would like use, if somebody wanted their volcanic wings or whatever, we would do a whole vial of pure cap drops. But the fun thing to do was just kind of gently line the inside of their straw with a good bit and stick it back down in their drink, so the next time they go to take a big suck off of their drink, they get a mouthful of capsaicin. It's always funny watching people burn up, as all of you who watch us eat all the spicy food and watch the crazy reactions from people. You know, it's still a lot of fun for me to prank friends and give them something really hot and watch them get burned up. Oftentimes you don't even have to prank them. People just want to test their limits. But, you know, that's kind of like one of the things that I remember doing a lot, or, you know, to the most part, to a lot of people. My favorite thing to do to a dishwasher was we used to take a cast iron skillet, and you throw that on the burner, crank that sucker up, get it just smoking red hot as you can possibly get it, and just pour in like cayenne powder, blackening powder, you know, all the kinds of the spicy chili powder mixes that you have. Toss it into the pan, sit there and kind of gently stir it with a wood spoon for just a few minutes, get it as charred as you possibly can, and while the dishwasher is bogged down with all kinds of stuff going on in a sink full of water, you just walk over and say, hey, hot stuff, and drop the pan into the water, and as soon as you do, it's like a smoke bomb that goes off in the kitchen. This giant cloud of hard to breathe gas goes everywhere, so I used to just drop it into the sink and go right out the door to the front of the house, and you know, hear them gagging and coughing and come running out of the kitchen. So that was always a lot of fun to get those guys. Let's see. What we used to like to do with the front of the house people, I remember, you know, like front of the house people, honestly, you can't blame them. I mean, they're wanting to get some free food. They work in a restaurant and don't, you know, often make a whole lot. Sometimes tips can be pretty shitty, and, you know, you want to get a good meal. And you know, at our place, they generally wouldn't let the employee, like if a mistake went out of the table at Carrabba's, they're not going to let the waiter or waitress keep the mistake for themselves, it'll go back in the window, and one of the cooks will dispose of it. It either becomes a dishwasher meal, or it just gets tossed out, or one of us eats it. But you know, so one of the things we would do with those guys is always try to prank them and tell them, hey, we've got some food for you. And I remember one time, I think it was maybe my buddy Brad, I'm not sure, but we took a whole bunch of our napkins, like the little beverage napkins, and wrapped them up really tight, and then dunked them in an egg wash, breaded them, and fried them, and we sent them out to the front of the house window, and with just a little bit of like dipping sauce, like marinara and stuff, and told them, hey, everybody, free cheese sticks. And you just sit back and watch. I mean, they really did look perfect like our cheese sticks. And I remember watching this one person just, you know, bite into it, dig into it hard, and it's, you know, you just see this big chunk of napkin in there. Let's see, what else did we do? I think another one that was inspired, it was either Brad or my buddy Aaron that did this one, but we would take, you know, we had these like 2-ounce scoopers that were like, you know, perfect, nice little round shapes. And we would use that for our Romano cheese. And if you really packed that thing nice and tight, it almost looked like a small cheesecake. So we would take one of the round plates and we would just put this, you know, perfect looking, you know, mound of cheese that's packed so tight it looks like, you know, cheesecake. So we would sit there and drizzle chocolate over top of it, and we would garnish it with, like, you know, strawberry and some berries, some kind of like fruits around the outside of it, and we'd go and serve that out there and watch people take a big spoonful out of, you know, chocolate and cheese. It's just hilarious seeing the reactions when it's not something that you're expecting it to be, that you're sticking in your mouth and eating. But those things were always a lot of fun. There are people that probably engage in the other pranks that I don't consider fun. Like, you know, if you ever watch the movie Waiting, there is a whole lot of truth in that movie to real life. I mean, when you're cooking in a kitchen, it's like, you know, I don't know, I look at Waiting as being a great example, and probably one of the best books you could ever read if you want to know about life in a kitchen is pick up Chef Anthony Bourdain's book. What was it called? Reserved, I think is the name. Honestly, can't remember the name. I'll have to look it up. It's been a while since I read it, but he really breaks down what life is like in a kitchen. Like when you go in and say, hey, what's up, you piece of shit, you know, that's just a way of saying, you know, hey, how's it going, buddy? It's just a term of endearment. Like cussing at somebody and degrading them is just a way of complimenting each other and saying hello. It's a really weird psychology working in the kitchen. And, you know, of course, he also breaks down a lot of the secrets that go in, like, you know, always using kosher salt and fresh cracked black pepper versus your standard iodized salt and all that. These are all the little secrets that restaurants use to make their food taste better than what you're cooking at home. Don't use margarine, use real butter, unsalted real butter. You know, it's as far as like waiting pranks and things like that go, I remember some kid, once the movie came out, was, you know, talking about the bat wing and something else, and I was like, I swear to God, if I walk around the corner and I see you standing there with your balls hanging down, you know, I generally have my knife stuck on my side and my hip, so you would do good to not have your balls hanging out in front of me. You know, other than that, like, you know, they do some things in that movie, like, you know, sprinkling pubes on the mashed potatoes and spitting in the mash, and, you know, the dandruff onto the steak as garlic salt. Things like that you really don't do in the kitchen. I mean, I'm not saying they're not out there. There probably are some really shitty kitchens where cooks who have no standards may do that, and they're not chefs. Those people are cooks. You know, a real chef is not going to go and do some stupid stuff like that. Now, having said that, have I done stupid things like that? Yes. There was one time in particular that I probably won't get into too much. I just remember this lady that, you know, I worked at a bowling alley in a concession stand, and because the pizza was taking longer than it was supposed to, because we had a huge line and hers hadn't even gone in the oven yet, she, you know, told me I had no life and yelled at me and whatever, and went back to bowl her game. And, you know, bowling people sometimes really think they're the king of the bowling alleys, king or queens, and that they're just, you know, the best thing. Their shit doesn't stink. And, you know, I really didn't like those people. And I admit to spitting on her food one time. You know, it was, I probably shouldn't have. You know, and looking back, I regret it, because that's one of those code of ethics things that I try to avoid. I would never do as a cook, because I don't want somebody ever doing that to my food. But anyway, I have rambled on and on with this video. I just kind of wanted to make this series a little bit more fun, and, you know, I guess just kind of open up with you guys and talk more. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this little segment. Now we're going to go to the question segment where I'm going to ask you guys something. But first, this beer is really not meant to be chugged or slammed. It's so good just to drink, sip on. Let's see, the question I'm going to ask you guys. So, since we're talking about pranks today, what is the best prank you've ever pulled on somebody? Or if you've never pulled one on somebody, what's the best prank you've ever had pulled on you? Or if you've never had one pulled on you, what's the best prank you've ever seen in general? Is it a YouTube video? Is there something you could leave a link for, or something we could all go and check out? Leave your comments down below. I'd like to hear from you. Again, this is kind of my way of interacting with y'all a little more. I, kind of got this idea. I've been thinking about it for a while. Like Reggae Frank 09, Frank Outson, just one of the best YouTubers out there. He was, anyway. He taught me a lot, and watching back some of his videos, I remember he would always ask these questions at the end. So anyway, just kind of throwing this out there, and this is going to become a regular thing. I'm going to try to ask you guys something, and let's try to keep this communication going, keep some feedback coming to me, and I'll be sure to keep on interacting with all of you the best I can. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to join me on all the various social networking sites from Google+, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you play video games, you can join me on the Steam network. Maybe we could play a game or two together. And I've actually been working on my website a little more. It's www.burntbrian.com. I'm going to try to be updating that on a little bit more of a regular basis, trying to put up my blog posts at least, and I'll be sharing, of course, all my newest videos will be shared over there as well. And don't, please leave me some comments over there if you like the way the page is looking. And as always, stay toasty, my friends. Alright, so now it's time for the for a question segment.